Now, when I was 2 years old, I moved to Greenland with my parents and my sister, and we lived there for 7 years. It is quite a remarkable place to grow up as a child. I remember Greenland as a very tough environment. It was always cold, very dark, and there was lots of snow, not green at all. I actually believe that the word Greenland is the first example of greenwashing in this world. Now, 7 years in Greenland taught me that our lives largely depends on the forces of nature. And 50 years later, in April 2022, I had the opportunity to participate in an expedition to northeast Greenland with 13 dogs, a dog sled, and a tent. This time, I only stayed for 7 days, but enough to see the big changes in nature. Normally, the temperature in northeast Greenland in April is around minus 20 degrees Celsius, but that week, we had days where the temperature was above the freezing point. You could almost hear the ice melting in April. Wow. So as I came back, I studied how much sea levels would rise if all the ice in Greenland would melt. I knew it was bad, but honestly, I didn't know it was that bad. 6 to 7 meters. I know now. And knowing is important because when we know, we can do something. But between knowing and doing, there is choosing. By now, I think we all kind of know. So the questions are, what are we choosing and what are we doing? If we want to avoid a climate disaster, we need much more radical leadership. Now, some companies have chosen, actually many companies have chosen to commit to net zero emissions by 2030 or 2040, which is great news, but the progress is far too slow. CO2 emissions are still rising, and if we do want to avoid that climate disaster, I believe we need to be much more radical in our leadership. When it comes to choosing, we need more courage. Our choices need to be based on what is necessary, not what seems possible right now. If we choose to pursue impossible big dreams, we spark the imagination of people, and the impossible becomes possible.